Hey, what is up everybody? It's T-Squared Games, and today I'm going to show you how to make this awesome pickaxe from the video game Fortnite.
So here are all the materials you're going to need. First, you're going to need a long piece of pipe, or generally just a long rod or something that you can use as the handle for the pickaxe. I'm using some PVC pipe that I found in my basement. It's 1 1/4 inch diameter. The length of pipe that I have is about 55 inches long. Next, you're going to need black and silver duct tape, some sort of a measuring device like a ruler or a tape measure, scissors, a marker, brown duct tape if the pole or handle you're using isn't already made of wood, a hot glue gun with extra glue sticks, and a whole bunch of cardboard. Also, a quick note about your pipe or whatever you're using as the handle of the pickaxe, because that's what this is going to be. You should measure the length of it so that it's about 1 foot less than your height. That doesn't have to be exact, of course, but just get it pretty close. Like this piece of pipe was 55 inches as is, which is about a foot less than my height, which is 5'8". I think it's one more. It's like 13 inches, but it's pretty much the same. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, when you're working with your cardboard, if it's corrugated cardboard like this, it has the ridges in it, you should always make sure that your corrugation lines, your ridges, are facing the same way that mine are when I'm drawing the shapes onto the cardboard, just so you know which way to, it will end up bending in the final product. Alright, so the first thing you're going to need to do is get your cardboard out, and we're going to draw the top part of the pickaxe. And I would say that a good length for the head of the pickaxe is 1/3 or so of the total length of your handle, or the pole or pipe you're using. For me, since my pipe is 55 inches long, that would be about 17 or 18 inches, closer to 18 point something. Anyway, I thought that when I was prototyping this, I thought that 17 inches looked good. So I've measured that out here and drawn marks for myself, so I know where to draw the whole design of the pickaxe. Also, you should probably make a marking for the middle so you know where to put the hole for the actual pipe to go through. So I'm going to do that now, which in my case would be at the 8.5 inches mark, because mine is 17 inches. So I'll just put that there, and I'll put the other cross mark once I'm done drawing the general shape, which should look like this up here, kind of like a pizza shape, and then we're going to put a hole in the middle for the pole to go through. Anyway, yeah, so just start tracing the general shape of the pickaxe, pretty much just freehanding it. I'm not really doing anything specific related to measurements other than that initial part. Anyway, once you sketch your design so that it's close enough to the general shape, what you want to do at that point is then measure the center mark so you know where to place the hole. So for me at this point, which is the middle mark that I placed before, the center mark would be, so that looks to me about 5.5 inches. So the center mark would be somewhere around 2 3/4, which is right around here. So once you've done that, you can mark your center mark, and that's where we're going to trace the hole for our pipe. Now, before you cut out your design, the shape that you drew, you should trace the diameter of your pipe or your handle onto the cross in the middle so you know where to cut out the hole. Anyway, yeah, you just want to hold the pipe in place. It might help to have someone do it for you, if you have someone that's willing to help you. Anyway, yeah, at this point you would just trace around your pipe, and there we go. It's not really centered, but it's good enough. Anyway, at this point you should begin to cut out your shape that you've just drawn and, trace the pipe onto. Anyway, you should now have a shape cut out like this with your hole still in the center. Now, if you have an X-Acto knife or something, that would probably be the best way to do this, but I don't have one on hand at the moment, so you can just open your scissors. Warning, word of caution, This is not recommended and is probably really dangerous, so an X-Acto knife would probably be better. And if you have someone who's experienced with doing stuff like that, you should probably have them do it. Anyway, yeah, don't do this on top of like wood or anything because you could scratch it and that's bad. Also, you know, be sure to like not stab yourself and don't cut towards yourself. Once you have your hole cut out, you can grab your pipe and stick it on for a test fit. If it fits, then everything should be okay, and if it doesn't, you'll either need to widen the hole or start over if the hole is too big. It should fit pretty snugly on there. It's kind of hard to get in the camera. Move the camera back a little bit, but mine is fitting on pretty snugly. So I think I'm good here. Anyway, yeah, we'll move on to the other parts of the head of the pickaxe. So since we have just created the top of the pickaxe, we pretty much need to now make the bottom. And if you look at this picture of the Fortnite pickaxe, you can kind of see that the bottom of the head of the pickaxe is bigger than the part on top. So you're going to need to trace this that you've just cut out, but slightly larger onto a new piece of cardboard. Also, make sure all your corrugation lines, your ridges, are going horizontal. I know I mentioned that at the start of the video, but it should be noted that you should have all of them going this way for this part of the video. Okay, now once you've traced that, you should have a slightly bigger version of the thing you just cut out. So yeah, now you should have these two pieces of the pickaxe, with the larger one being, of course, the bottom one. So yeah, now we're going to work on the sides so we can actually get these put together into the familiar pickaxe shape. And yeah, that's where we'll go from here. Anyway, start by bending the bottom piece of cardboard kind of along it with your thumb. So it should have a pretty nice curvature, but it shouldn't be too curved. If your cardboard isn't corrugated like this, if it's like from like a cereal box or something, then you're going to need to bend it a different way. Obviously it's going to be harder to bend, but it's still possible and you can still make it look good. It's just going to be more work. Anyway, now you're going to want to do the same thing for the top piece. Now the top piece has a slightly more aggressive curvature than the bottom piece, and so that's what we're going to be looking for when we're doing the side pieces, is how these come together with that kind of aggressive curvature. Now, one thing that I will mention is that when you're overlaying the top smaller piece onto the bottom larger piece, you're going to see that the edges don't touch when you want it to have this kind of large crescent moon shape on the sides. Kind of hard to see on camera, but anyway, we're going to have to cut an extra piece here. I forgot I did that with my prototype. Anyway, yeah, that's what we're going to have to do afterwards. Anyway, yeah, that part's not going to be too difficult. We'll just tack it on right after the sides, and once we finish decorating it, you won't even be able to tell the difference. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add a little dot of hot glue to the end here, and that way we'll know what size to make the side panels for the head of the pickaxe. Remember when you're using your hot glue gun to do it over like a surface that's not, you know, flammable, and which I am obviously not doing here. I'm just using cardboard to protect what I'm working on. I think it would be better to work on a desk or something, but it would be hard for me to do that with my camera setup right now, so I'm just doing it here and hoping for the best, pretty much. Once your hot glue gun is all heated up, I've been waiting for it for a while now, you just want to put a little dot of hot glue on the end of your pickaxe here on the little point. Once you've got your dot of hot glue on there, just attach your other point of the top, and you're going to want to hold it there for a while, say about a minute. Alright, so the hot glue is dried on there on the point. See, it's staying now. Anyway, yeah, what we're going to do now is we're going to cut two rectangular spacers for the inside of the pickaxe, so that way we know how to shape the sides and it's not just flat like this. Yeah, so these are the spacers we're going to use. Obviously they're not going to be this height we have to cut them down to size before we put them inside the head here. But yeah, that's going to help it hold its shape while we determine how big we need the sides to be. This is really hard to do by yourself, just a side note. But you want to get the pickaxe curved how you want it to be, and then you want to kind of set the spacer against the side and cut it down to size. So that looks about good for me. I'll test it out. And putting it in there, you can see that is a pretty big pickaxe opening. So I want to cut it down a little bit more. But yeah, that's essentially how you make the spacer, and then you can just hot glue it in there so it'll keep its shape. Anyway, yeah, so there's that. I'm just gonna run a bead of hot glue down each side, and that'll make it easier for me to stick it inside the pickaxe. Now you've got to be fairly quick with this. Obviously you don't want the hot glue to dry on you before you stick your pieces together. But yeah, this is basically how you want it to be. So, you know, just keep holding it until you can feel the hot glue start to cool down, because obviously you can feel how hot it is through the cardboard. It won't burn you or anything, it's a little warm. Alright, my hot glue seems pretty dry, so I'm gonna flip my pickaxe over to the other side, and I'll grab my other spacer part here, and pretty much just the same thing on this side, just, you know, cut to size however you want this to be shaped, and then it should be good from there. So yeah, it looks like this one can be flat, so I'll cut that one off there. That looks about good. So same procedure as on the other side. Just take your hot glue gun, run a bead of glue down each edge of the spacer in there, and take it and stick it inside where you want it. So that's around here-ish for me. And then just pinch it tight for about a minute. Once you got that glued in, it's time to measure out the sides of the pickaxe. So you're going to need to obviously take your pickaxe head, and you're going to need even more cardboard to trace the sides on, and then we will cut them out and glue them on. Alrighty, so once you've got your cardboard, you can even use the piece that you used for the one of the sides. You basically just want to lay it against the cardboard and trace the side profile, and then I'll tell you what to do from there once you've traced that. So let me go ahead and do this now. Anyway, once you've got the general side profile traced, obviously I left out this part because we don't have that piece yet. We can just put in a straight line. Oh, that's horrible. You just put in a straight line right there, and that will be our side profile, looks like. So I messed up a little there. The pickaxe shifted, so. But yeah, we'll just cut that out and we'll glue it onto the side, and then we'll proceed to do the other side. Alright, now that we've got the side profile cut out, we can just flip it over and trace it onto another piece of cardboard, because it would just be more work to trace the other side of our pickaxe. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and do that now. Hopefully it doesn't shift like it did last time. Okay, now we trace that, so we can just, you know, cut this out. You can see it shifted again there. Okay, now we've got that side piece done, so we can glue both of them onto the pickaxe. Now, once you've cut out your side pieces, you might find that they're a little big on this side, as I just have. So what you want to do is you want to pretty much line up the back with your pickaxe. And yeah, just line it up with the top, and that's where it should be. So you could get a marker at this point and trace the rest, trim it off, which is probably the best option, or you could just cut it off, but I would recommend the marker. It's probably a lot easier to do afterwards instead of just trying to keep eyeballing it and such. So Yeah, we'll just trace that on there. See, we got ourselves a nice little line. So we'll just cut along that line to get the side of the pickaxe. All right, now that you've got that cut, you can see that that lines up pretty well here. So what we're just gonna do here is glue this on. So I'd say the best option to do this would be to start gluing here and here, and then from there you can do the rest while it's stable. Right, then here we go. So I'm just gonna line this up, get a nice little bit of hot glue in there. All right, looking good, and we'll just hold it there and allow it to just dry up before we start the next part. So now what you want to do is you want to glue the back so your piece just stays steady, and then you can do the top and bottom. So that's what I'm going to do right here. Just going to apply some glue there and there, and that should hold there. So yeah, just hold that, let it dry, and then we'll do the top and bottom edges. Alright, so the back is now glued down, so we can start to do this top edge here, which is going to be a little difficult, but I think we can do it. So just start, running your hot glue bead along the top. Let it just kind of sink in. If there's a little crack there, it'll sink in. Yep, looks like I need a new glue stick. You can also kind of use your other hand to push it closer to the side panel. That'll help a lot. Really help, get it all stuck together. So once you've gotten the top edge all glued, just kind of hold it together and wait for everything to dry. It'll probably take a couple minutes because you've used so much glue. But yeah, now we'll move on to the other side. So yeah, now once that glue is dry, take the other side edge, whichever one you didn't do before, and just line up the top like we did before, and trace the bottom if it doesn't fit already. So I'm just going to do that quickly now and start gluing it on like we did with the other one. But you pretty much know the process by now, since I went through it with the other one. Okay, so I ran into a little bit of a problem here. You can see that this finished product is kind of flat in the front, and that's not how we want it. It's supposed to be like it just comes down to one thin blade. Actually, let me go get my prototype so I can show you. Okay, so this is my prototype. You can see we come down to the point on this side, and we got the kind of blade on this side, and of course the hole straight through for the pipe. So that's kind of what we want, but that's not how this one turned out. So we're gonna go about fixing that. If you find, when you've done this, if you find that your kind of side panel has a sharp drop off like this, like it's very vertical, and it's probably going to result in it looking something like this, here's what you got to do to fix it. Otherwise, you're perfectly fine to go ahead, and even if you're fine with it looking like this, you can keep moving ahead, and I guess you can just skip past this part. But anyway, if you want to fix it, I would say that the most efficient way to do so, just take your marker and kind of trace out where you want the line to go. So obviously I want to start like down here-ish, so I would want to go something like that. You see, so it kind of curves into it more, and then obviously this space down here would be connected here. So that's what I'm going to try to do anyway, and so we're going to start that by just trimming off along the line that you drew. So obviously, repeat it on the other side, same kind of general thing, and then we'll just cut along that. Now obviously if you did hot glue the top, as I did, it's going to be harder for you to do. but you know, just you can pretty much just cut along the hot glue. It's gonna be difficult, but you can do it. Actually, that went pretty easily. As long as you don't have big globs, it should be pretty easy to do. So you can see, you know, I have my desired side profile now. This side will do the same thing. You cut along here. This should just come right off. Yeah, there we go. So, alright, so you should kind of have like this little shell-ish. And what we're going to want to start doing is, you can pull out your front spacer if you still have one, or you can shorten it if you want it to be a little bit more stable. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start kind of contouring this top piece to how the sidelines are now. And then we'll just get that little last panel to finish it off. So, yeah. I might as well just start, you know, using tape or something for this. Because, you know, it's not really convenient for me to use hot glue here. If you're still testing stuff out, I would recommend you get some Scotch tape, or just some, you know, like tape that will stick it together, but it won't be like super duper strong or anything. Masking tape or painter tape would also work. But yeah, pretty much we're just gonna be testing it to see how it looks, and then even it doesn't matter, you can leave the tape on here if you like how it looks, because of how we're gonna be covering the whole thing with duct tape. Okay, so once you've got that all taped up pretty well, you know, just kind of estimate a size of what you think would be good to fit there. If you still have the piece that you cut the pickaxe head out of, that would be great, because you know it's going to line up perfectly. So here I have the bottom of pickaxe piece. You can see here. So yeah, you can pretty much see where we cut in, and it lines up perfectly. So I'll just, let's see, we'll just line up this angle here. And that looks to be lining up pretty well. We'll do the same on this side. Obviously, if you have any printing on your cardboard, it won't really matter once we cover it with the duct tape. But just get it to what you think the general length will be. Obviously, you know, overshooting is better because you can always take away, but it's a lot harder to add back. So I'm going to say this looks good. And we'll see how that fits. And that's looking pretty perfect, actually. So I'm gonna go ahead and use some Scotch tape to get this on here. Alright, there we go. Go ahead and do the bottom as well. So yeah, there we go. Now the general shape of the pickaxe is finished. What we're gonna do now actually is work on the bottom hole for the pipe to stick through. Now I found the best way to do this is to take your marker and, you know, put it inside the existing hole. Try to get it at the angle that you will want the pole to go in, or your pipe, and just make sure you're all the way at the bottom piece of cardboard, and just move it around in a perfect circle. You can see there's a circle down there, but it's pretty small. So, you know, you'll widen it out a little bit for sure. Obviously, that's very horribly done, but you get the general idea. Pretty much, you want to be able to just take your scissors and just cut a line across, and that's where you cut the hole. So I'm going to do that now, and try to just like poke a little hole with your scissors at each of the 4 points around the circle. and through your existing hole. So that way you know where to cut when you're on the other side. Okay, and you can see that our holes are poked through on this side. They're kind of hard to see on camera, right here. So we're just gonna go ahead and, cut around and get the general shape of everything working. So once you've cut your hole and you can see straight through it, you can grab your pipe or whatever you're using and just go for a test fit before everything is put together. So mine looks like it works. Here, let me move the camera back a little bit. Yeah, so that looks good to me. Now we can move on to the next stage. So the next step is to wrap your pipe in the brown duct tape. Now there's a pretty easy way to do this, and I actually started doing it here just to test it out, and I was recording, but I was accidentally recording in portrait and not landscape, so that clip's not going to make it into the video. But the way you want to do it is basically just take your tape and just kind of move it along. It's probably easier if you have one strip. You'll get a lot less wrinkles, but that's pretty much how you do it. Just kind of go up in a spiral shape, and it's pretty easy once you do it from there. So next clip I'll be done, and I'll show you what to do from there. Okay, once you've covered the entire thing in duct tape, what we need to do now is put kind of an end cap if your thing is hollow, and we'll go from there. So get your cardboard first, then get your marker and your scissors, and pretty much just take the end of your pipe, hold it up straight, and trace around it. Once you have the general circle shape, you can just go ahead and cut it out. You can tape the bottom of it if you want it to look a little nicer. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So yeah, there we go. I'll just put another thing of tape around just to cover up all that messiness there. So yeah, now that you've got a bottom part, we're going to start working on the head, and then we'll put it together. Alright, so what you're going to need now is you're going to need the head of the pickaxe. You're going to need your black duct tape, and you're going to need your silver duct tape. And we'll just start taping it up, and then we'll be done pretty much. You want to start with the black and pretty much tape everywhere except for this front slicing edge, sort of the axe shaped one. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Right, so as you can see, I'm all out of duct tape on this roll, so luckily I have another roll, but if you don't have a lot of duct tape, make sure you plan for that. Alright, so I'm done covering the outside in black duct tape. Now, make sure, obviously, that you didn't do this edge yet. That's going to be the silver part, so move on to the silver. Here we go. So here's the head of the pickaxe. Turned out pretty well. My silver duct tape kept refusing to rip, so that sucked. But otherwise, yeah, I think it turned out pretty well. So we're gonna grab the pipe, stick it on, and make the finishing touches. Alrighty, so once you've got your pickaxe onto the, or once you got the head of the pickaxe onto the pipe, we're gonna start making sure it stays there, even though that it should be pretty tight already with all that duct tape. So just gonna add a couple of pieces of duct tape on the underside just to make sure this thing stays put. Alright, now that I've secured that on there, first I did a layer of brown duct tape, wrapped the rest around the handle, and then covered the brown with black so it looks normal. Now we're going to need to put a cardboard thing on here. Alright, now it's time to cut out the top for this. So same deal as the other one. Just cut it. Okay, this is gonna be hard. I don't know. I would say for this one, if you haven't cut out 2 circles already, because I was not smart, I didn't anticipate this. So I guess just go ahead and eyeball it. So there's my horrible circle. Let's see if it. Oh, that actually fits on pretty well. So yeah, I'm just gonna take this on like I did with the other one, and that's gonna be it. We're gonna be done. So here we go. Final stretch. Alrighty, there we go. So we're done with the pickaxe now. I'll change the camera for the rest of the thing.
So yeah, this is the final product. I hope your guys' versions of it turned out pretty well. If you did it and it turned out great, make sure to drop a comment and let me know. Also, if you want to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe. Might be doing some Fortnite gameplay soon. I'm not sure. I'll see you in the next one. T-Squared out.